is a book out there that someone wrote called The Body Keeps a Score. Or hold on, actually, before I say that, The Body Keeps the Score. Yeah. And it's by Bessel van der Kolk. But just, like with everything that we go through in life, whatever it might be, like our bodies hold on to that. So I just feel like with, all activists should be just,
Right.
like there's just so much that like our bodies hold, like whether or not we know it, and I've been working on finding different physical therapists. So like before I came here, I was like seeing masseuses because I just know like I have different situations and issues. Like my hip has a big issue on my left side and my left, shoulders and arms from just like also like holding a phone, but also like, like being on a laptop and you're kind of like crouched and stuff like that. So even in that way, like using this technology has made it very just harmful for our bodies and our souls too. Like, so knowing that we do so much online and also offline and just like I don't really work out, I should work out more. um
We
but
all do.
what?
We all do. I
Right.
definitely did.
Like I like doing yoga, but I want to follow like
Something more intensive.
I think it's that I like yoga because it's not like intense in the way that like running is. Like someone mentioned they don't like to run because it's the same kind of feeling that their like anxiety has. So like that I was like, oh, okay, like I didn't think about it like that, but that makes a good point because like I do not like to run. Like when I was forced to run in school, for like physical education or whatever, like I ran and I remember because I wanted to like beat, I don't know, the record or like at least meet the requirement. I remember being like, okay, I'm going to pretend this is super random, but like at that time, some news story came out about someone getting chased by a kangaroo. So I was like, okay, I'm going to pretend I'm getting chased by a kangaroo. And then I started like running with that mindset. But at the end of the day, I was like, I don't like this. Like, there's a difference because to me, like, running is a very survival thing. You know what I mean? Like, why would I run on a daily basis? Like, no offense to the people who do that, but I think it's like so energy draining. And like, I'm more of a swimmer. So, like, I've been liking, like, I've always liked swimming, like, whether it's in the ocean or in a pool. So, I like doing that. And I like to work out that way. Otherwise, I think stretching and yoga and dancing are really like my preferred ways because it's just like slower. It's literally like just less intense on the body. I'm listening to my body as I'm doing it. Um, and then swimming, like I used to do it with a team. So it was also a little more competitive and like that energy just didn't like make it necessarily what I wanted. But yeah, so I kind of want to do more yoga. I just don't know a lot. I've followed different people. I've gone to, like classes and I've practiced with practitioners, yoga teachers. Um, Maybe I just need to get like certified or something so I can actually teach myself everything and then I can start teaching other people because I feel
Right.
like I want to teach people, but then because I don't know everything, like I really want to dig into like the Sanskrit, like yoga, the really like fundamentals and like really provide the like spiritual aspect of it because so much of current day yoga is very like whitewashed and they've taken out like the meaning of what yoga is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've wanted to slow down more with my fitness and I generally am not a promoter of like lifting weights or running or yeah, just like there's certain things where I'm like that's not natural. Like our body is a weight, using our own body weight as a form of fitness is I think the healthiest because then you're really in tune with your body. You know how to use your body. Like I think using my body to lift weights, like is different than, of course, using my body to like lift heavy things that I need to lift in my daily life. I don't know. It's just like I'm not against people lifting weights. It's just more like, our own body is such a heavy weight. Like knowing how to use it, like knowing how to use our legs and kicking and using our arms for punching, like whatever it might be, like those to me seem more relevant than just going to a gym that's depressing and is a scam. And then,
Yeah. I also prefer swimming over running also. Because also it doesn't I don't know, it doesn't require that much. I didn't really thought about running as a survival mode kind of thing to do.
Right.
But I can see where that's coming from.
Right. Like I think that for especially people with high anxiety, running is probably not recommended. Like I have nothing against people who go for runs, like good on whoever it is. I've been invited by friends to go on runs and I'm like, no thanks. Like I've tried it and then I just like walk the rest of the time.
Yeah, I get you. I don't do track and field for a reason.
Yeah. It's just too much. And like I'm like, why? Like I'd rather reserve all my energy for when I really need to run. Otherwise my heartbeat does not need to go up this high for just a run.
So what are you coming in for as far as Chinese medicine is concerned today?
Well, I guess like in general, just like everything. Like I also see an acupuncturist every now and then. Just depends on how I'm feeling. But this person, I wanted to see them for as much as possible before I head out of the country. I think it's just like, also I don't like to sleep with a pillow because most of the time pillows don't get me. So lately I've been like sleeping with like this little like plush like that I have. It's like a moon shaped plush, so I sleep on it, just have it like on my neck. But then last night we slept over at the new place and we just slept on the couch.
Yeah.
So like I did not sleep in a good position and my neck hurts. So I'll probably have her work on my neck today because it's just like, everything that we do, like our head is obviously connected to her neck, the rest of our body is connected to her neck. Like my neck holds so much stress. And I know this from also seeing like different, like I've seen a chiropractor and they mentioned that, like I just know also based off of how I sleep and, just driving as well, like our neck holds so much stress and like that dictates so much of our health. So I'll probably have her work on my neck. And then in general, my left side of my body has a lot of healing to do as well. So I want her to, in general, work on that. But because she's a big promoter on, like every side, and most people will obviously work on both sides of the body to make sure it's even. But also, like, when I think about this one time the chiropractor mentioned, like, our left side, well, I guess he said specifically for like female bodies, and obviously there is some generalization to this, but he is a white man, so I of course took it with a grain of salt. But he mentioned like the left side of the female body is the maternal side, and then it's flipped for the male body. So then the left side of the male body is the fraternal side, and then the right side of the female body is the fraternal side. So for a male body, the right side would be the maternal side. So once he said that, it made me think about like my relationship with my parents and how like my mom is very like is just always stressed out, was always stressed out, still is pretty always stressed out, and like always makes that part of her known. So I think that's where like my left side of the body is like so like it's like I feel like it screams more in pain in that sense. But I know my right side also needs to be taken care of. I just feel like the left side of my body is just louder in being in pain. And then my like feet also I've had bunions since I was born. And then working in corporate, I would wear heels because I also like heels and I like shoes. And then I would growing up, I wore shoes that were sometimes too big for me, so I would put like tissues in them. And then also like wearing shoes that were too tight for me, and then it just caused my feet to walk badly, basically. And like I've seen how my feet have like taken care of me, but I also see how as a result of it taking care of me, like it's just been misused pretty much. Um, so yeah, just trying to like heal that, which is why I hate wearing shoes now. Like, and I try not to wear any shoes because I'm just tired of the restriction that they have on us, and like even clothing. Like, obviously, we're all human and like we all want to be naked, but with all that has happened in this world and the amount of like colonization and amount of like religion cults that have like
Shaming.
made us feel bad to just be naked. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of shaming going on with religion, and that's what happened today.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. Full
with,
circle. We're here now.
what's that?
Just joking about how it's full circle and now we're here. We made it.
It's not full circle yet. Trust me, it never. It keeps going.
I mean, it keeps going for sure. I just meant like in terms of the topic of conversation in this moment.
Yep. Full circle coming back to Roe v. Wade.
Right. Why I came on. Like I woke up and like I woke up from like this weird ass dream. And like I think partly it's because my neck was just like not in a good position and I was like literally in pain waking up. But my dream was like me, like, so I love eating like the neck bone. I love eating all bone pretty much. And like with the neck bone, like I like to suck it. So I was literally dreaming about that and my neck was in severe pain. And then I woke up and it was just this like, it was like this taste in my head. It was so weird. And then I went on my phone and then that's when I heard, was reading about everything. And then it was just like crazy because it's like, all this energy just like woke me up and all this painful energy, weird energy woke me up. And now we're here. And I don't even feel like eating. Like my body is just like so like nervous, I feel like, and like anxious and like I made food and I don't even really want to eat it. I kind of had a stomach ache from eating this like yogurt that I've had before just fine. Like my body is very sensitive to energy, so like I can sense that the whole world is just kind of like there's just so much energy right now, so much anxiety, and like my body, I just also I'm glad therefore that like I have this appointment today. Like we said it last week, but I'm just glad that it's happening today before I head out to the rally because yeah, I just need time to like relax and like sit in feeling good and also like sit in yeah, honestly, that's a lot of times why I go to a physical therapist or like why I have people like touch me on that professional healing level because I'm just like my body, like I have not one in the past few years I've been really reshaping like the concept of feeling myself where I know like that's happening in my body. Like I can feel it, I can sense it. Like I know it's because of this. And then on top of that, just wanting to feel good. Like I want all of us to feel good, but of course, like I have to be that person to take care of myself first and like make sure like I feel good. I know what feeling good feels to my body. So yeah, that's honestly like why I guess I see like physical therapists is just to like feel good with my body and all of that.
Yeah. I think it's just the need to balance wellness and all the other things going on.
Yeah.
But also, it's just that I think balance between recognizing where you need to retreat and rest.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just okay. Yeah, I'm just setting up gonna drive to my workplace. But are you still there?
Yeah, I am. I just bit into this cucumber. It was not. Feels weird.
Yeah, I was just saying that like there's the need to know when to rest, and there's a need to recognize that we need to sometimes still need to reach beyond the comfort zone to be able to make changes. So it's just when kind of like me being in bed, I was like, God damn, I got this I need to do, but I don't feel like getting up. I was like, you know what, I need to get up because there's still things that need to be done, kind of that thing. So that's kind of where I am at with activism, I think. Like, there are times when I'm just like, I kind of want to rest today, but it's the same time saying, you know what, there's still this thing I need to get done. Let me just get this done. And then, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you on that. However, you have to remember that we all have to remember that there's a difference between a rich white person feeling good and marginalized people who've gone through tremendous trauma to feel good, right? Like, and not to say that like, oh, not to like exclude a rich white person, but at the end of the day, like they have all the resources to feel good. So like remembering that like we are not that. So like when we are talking about us feeling good, it is not the same type of like feel good as an escapism, right? Like we feel good because we're constantly put in situations where we feel like shit.
Oh yeah.
And
no, I mean like with today's rally, I had no doubt that most people would show up. Those that, as you say, are there for the book of energy and not for long-term goal. What was that?
No, I'm still listening. I didn't say anything.
No, I mean my phone was telling me directions. So if you
Oh. Yeah, I think that's the part where like it's the reminder that the revolution as well and the resistance is us feeling good enough to want to be here and to do the work, like because the work is never going to stop, unfortunately. Like we are here because the work exists. Of course, for a lot of people that's redefining work. For me, a lot of the work in the past few years has been slowing down, chilling the fuck out, because of the fact that like I have been laboring since a kid, in multiple ways, obviously within my own household, outside in society, in the school system, around white supremacy. Like there's so much work that we're constantly doing outside of just this concept of, for some people, 9 to 5, right? I've worked the 9 to 5. Clearly wasn't for me. It's not for most people. And then I've had to also redefine like, what is work for me? Work a lot of the times is relaxing, because my body, somatic nervous systems have been conditioned to constantly be like in this like state of anxiety, state of survival, the state of constantly reacting. And like there's been times where like at home, in my peaceful home with my partner, with my lovely partner, like I've had situations where like I would get into a fighting state of mind, even though nothing necessarily was happening that needed that. But because I had experienced so much of that, my body only is so familiar with it that the work has been to like slow down, breathe. That's my current job, is breathing.
Yeah. No, so funny you should bring up about the need to balance and the fact that we are constantly in survival mode. Every little thing feels like crisis.
Right.
I've been rewatching. Are you familiar with a cartoon series called Steven Universe?
I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
So in there, it actually talks about, much later in the series, it talks about trauma, especially trauma that's encountered by young people. Like it does talk about it might look like you recover, but then there's the have you actually recovered mentally?
Right.
That's that because your body will react
Right.
in a way that even if you say you're fine.
Oh no, you're going out. Oh, we lost you, but you'll be back.
The idea of comfort, like for us, we need to have opportunity or good. For us who are marginalized, we especially should be treated with rest as often as we can, find the opportunity to go. Otherwise, we are constantly being traumatized all the time.
Right.
Like,
right. And the thing is, one thing we cannot do is wait. You know?
Yeah.
We have to take it. We have to do it ourselves. That's the biggest thing.
You remember a friend of mine who, well, my other partner, I need to get used to talking about the fact that I'm in a poly relationship more. You remember how I said I broke him out of jail with bail bonds and stuff like that just a few weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure his probation officer really wanted to put him back because he just got put back in for double the bond amount last night. I'm just like, God damn it!
What happened? What did he?
Oh, he got a job outside of the county.
Oh, and that puts you in. Yikes.
Yeah.
Did you say that he wants to be? Oh, darn it. Can't hear you. Well. This is interesting. So there's different viewpoints about this abortion situation. Obviously, getting to the point of having a medical abortion is different than your body naturally aborting. Obviously, there are people who are put in situations as well where they now have a life growing inside of them or not. I don't even know how to describe it. I'm not going to use the most medical savvy words, but there's also a lot of people who want or need an abortion and their bodies may not give it to them in that sense. And I guess that's the part where it's important to have the ability to. At the same time, I know that there's a lot of fear and anxiety around having children in the state of this world. If there was more collective care, it may not be so bad to have a child, regardless of what the reason was. But there isn't. So I think it's very justified when someone wants to have an abortion that is not their body naturally aborting. Um, and at the same time, we know that there's this agenda that people are talking about where, a lot of white people are killing themselves, and we're not talking about the suicide. We're not talking about just the amount of white people who are killing themselves. And maybe a lot of white men, white boys. Um, it's just, we live in a very disastrous place. And I think some people take their own lives because they think that that would be less painful. As someone who has debated, who has struggled with suicidal thoughts, with depression, it has been a lot of work to not kill myself. It has been a lot of work to constantly choose this life, this timeline that I'm on now. It's a lot of work, and it's not easy. It's not always fun. It's definitely not always fun. It is controlling a lot of white women and wanting them to have babies. And at the same time, if we were having a lot of community and we felt safe, it makes me think about the content that I put out. The energy. At the end of the day, no matter what's happening, people with the ability to get pregnant, we need to take care of ourselves. Because at the end of the day, the abortion is the last thing that we should be doing to our bodies. Unless your body naturally does it, the universe here is to protect us. But we need to listen to our bodies. We need to know what's happening. Don't have sex with people you don't trust. Just don't. It is not worth it. As someone who has experienced different relationships, it is not worth it. And my situations weren't even bad compared to some people's. Feeling good starts with the individual. Starts with ourselves. Knowing our bodies, knowing how to protect ourselves in every single way. Oh, hey. We lost you for a second. Oh. I'm just talking about, at the end of the day, an abortion is our last choice in a bigger situation. And how this goes back to a lot of people with the ability to get pregnant, need
Good.
we need to know how to protect ourselves, you know, from any type of situation. Like I've used these big ass legs to kick someone off from raping me. Like, not to say like every situation is the same, obviously not, but we gotta know how to use our bodies. We gotta know our bodies. We gotta listen to it. Like we gotta know like when am I most fertile? When is it okay for, you know, if like there's just so much about our bodies we don't know because it's we're not we're ignoring it. You know, it is a very active job to constantly listen to your own body and to know when something feels right, when something doesn't feel right, when something feels good, when something feels bad, when something may not even feel good or bad, but if it doesn't feel good, why? You know, like there's just so much that we do constantly that numbs us. Like I've stopped, like I'll drink every now and then, you know, if it's a celebration or something, but for the most part, like I don't drink because one, while I actually do like the taste of alcohol, my body doesn't like it. And I've even kind of like stopped smoking because I know that like I'll still smoke, you know, depending on the situation, especially when I'm with friends and all that. But I'll just not really smoke because I don't, you know, that was a medication for a long time of my life. And I noticed that it wasn't giving me what I needed or wanted anymore. So I've also like kind of like slowed that down, stopped it. Um, but also just, you know, I'm tracking my menstrual cycle as well. Like it's so helpful for me now to know like when I menstruate and how like if we're gonna have sex and like all of that stuff, like how to plan for it and all that stuff. And of course, like being with someone that I truly trust and like we have a lot of communication when it comes to our sex life. And there's just so much, so much that doesn't even, you know, that we need to do for ourselves before we even have to talk about an abortion. You know, I think obviously like access to abortion is still important for people who need it for situations that are just not going to be able to be explained away, have no logic to them, whatever it might be. However, there's just so much more work that needs to be done. And like I'm excited about going to the rally just to like be around the energy.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to also like just get in touch with the right people. And this is why like I've kind of not really put too much energy like directly into the wellness experience that I want to put on because I'm still gauging so much of, you know, what my needs are obviously and the people that I know that I can trust here locally, and also just like what the people here need. Um, so it just makes me like, and as I've been processing a lot of my own situations with, you know, the system and all that stuff, like so much of it does come back to how much of us are not tapped into our yoni energy, into our menstruation, you know, into how a lot of our a lot of us are like tied to the moon. And how do we, you know more about the moon? And there's just so much that um, you know, once we can advocate for ourselves, once we can defend our own selves, once we can protect ourselves, once we can be more on the, I guess, offensive or the offense rather than defense, um, it just puts us all in a more successful place. Like tapping more into everyone's feminine energy. Like everyone has feminine, masculine energy, and there's just so much in like protecting, obviously, like wombs and um, also just yeah, there's so much to this topic. It's obviously a
Yeah.
lifetime of work. But yeah, just thinking a lot about how, you know, I've wanted to be a doula. And then when I really thought about it, like there is so much more than just, being with someone through the experience of wanting a baby, having a baby, and after a baby. It's also like just being a doula in terms of like empowering women to like listen to the body, to take care of the body, to feel safe. A lot of the times I think there are people who feel unsafe or have high levels of anxiety, because they aren't prepared for everything that may come their way. And so there's just so much that needs to happen, before even talking about having a baby. Like, not, recognizing like we are babies ourselves. And if we're not taking care of ourselves as a baby, like, we're not ready to have a baby. There's just so much. But also, like, people talk to, like, there are people who have mentioned this many times, but just like, the concept of an agenda of, there's a lot of white men who are taking their own lives, and this need for this white supremacist need to have white lives still existing, and kind of like forcing poor white women to have babies, and so that they can continue to have these white lives.
Yeah.
There's just so much.
I feel like something to be said about how, with this rally, you see this is one where a lot of white women will turn up when, there's so many other issues that we raise that affects marginalized communities that you don't see them showing up for. But this, oh yeah,
right.
Hundreds will show up, but not
right.
rally. People are going to turn up today.
Right.
As opposed to all the other things that we've been advocating for, that we've been asking for them to show up for.
Right. And that's on.
But yeah.
And that's on why so many white women are triggered by this, because it's like, when you don't show up for the community.
Go to this rally, that we be mindful of what kinds of people that we're going to be basically vibing with.
Right. And that, that goes back to, like, I was thinking, like, this concept of these white women are so outraged by this because they don't show up for the more important things. They're not creating community. So when this shit comes up.
What was that?
Oh, wait, can you not hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello? Balls. I've been like talking and clearly you can't hear me.
You're kind of cutting in and out.
Oh no. Can you hear me now? Dang. That's not cute. Well, since you can't hear me.
To share out your thoughts on the matter, because it's very hard to find social media platform where people can freely share out their thoughts on things related to reproductive health and abortion.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
I know Kristen, her TikTok, I think, got suspended a couple of times because she was trying to make space to discuss abortion issues. And it was just like,
Right. Yeah, it's definitely, that's on, and that's on the Chinese Communist Party. Can you hear me? That's too funny. Can you hear me now? Damn. Come together me. Come to me. Well, yes. Definitely need more spaces to talk about everything in this world. It's exhausting to do this shit alone. It's not meant to be done alone. But yes, white women do need to show up for more shit. Otherwise, white women will feel alone. Because when you don't build your community, you're gonna be alone. But also, white women need to like feel pleasure. Like women in general need to feel pleasure. Like just people need to feel pleasure and not. I'm not even gonna talk to men's pleasure because it's not about sex. This shit is not about sex. Unfortunately, this society has made men think pleasure is all about sex. But pleasure is so much more. It's so much more than even having children. Like, women are not here to give birth to children. Women are here to give life reasons to exist. Our wombs are sacred. Our yonis are sacred. It cannot just be entered by anyone. As someone who has gone through a process of one, I did choose a lot, but I think the choice came from perhaps a wounded masculine. Oh, I need to watch that video. Curious what it says. I just know too many white women who are like with people that they don't
What
like.
video?
Oh, I had a friend send me this video talking about wounded masculine instead of toxic masculine. So I wanted to watch this. Let's put this on.
There's no such thing as toxic masculinity. There's no such thing as toxic femininity. Men and women are only toxic to the extent that they are caricatures for their complementary gender. If a man wants to spend most of his free time sitting around talking about what other men are and aren't doing, instead of building a legacy for himself that he, his woman, and his children can feel proud of, then that might be very toxic, but it's not masculine. If a woman wants to walk around, acting argumentative, boastful, boisterous, acting like she has a bigger dick than the man that she's with, then that might be very toxic, but it's not feminine. Masculinity and femininity are inherently divine, life affirming, complementary. So we need to be mindful of the terms that we use because they may be given to us by social engineers who don't have our best interests at heart. Just a thought. Listen, there's no such thing as.
Did you hear that? I think that there is.
I hear that. I'm not sure. I, at least my take on this is um,
I just realized that the mic and the sound and the timing is really off.
okay. So I think my take on this is I feel like there's a power differential with being in the patriarchal society. I don't think masculinity.
It's like super off by like minutes. So then when I talk, you end up talking, even though you don't hear what I say until like literally like a minute later. It's kind of crazy. But continue talking. I will be quiet for a while so I can hear you.
Yeah, well, I was just saying that I feel like there's a power differential that exists in the patriarchal society that we live in. That I don't think it's completely accurate to say that talk about toxic masculinity and femininity like they're two of the same thing. Because one thing I think about it when he brings up femininity in a toxic sense, is like, is that toxic femininity or is that internalized toxic masculinity?
I was just talking about that. I was talking about how like I would sleep with people, which of course impacted my yoni, and like a lot of it was because I wanted to prove to myself and maybe even the people around me that I could have this like pull, or like, that I could like have a number that I don't even know. And that's how like toxic it was. Like
Yeah.
how much movies we watched that would talk about like, what's your number, like how many partners have you had? And it is this like toxic, I don't even know if I can even say toxic masculinity at this point. Like, even like, let's say I say wounded masculinity, right? Like, I didn't have like a really good father figure in terms of like certain things. Like, I do appreciate him being like a very chill guy, always like trying to like find the humor in things and joking a lot and just feeling good in that sense. So, but at the same time, he wasn't present for moments where my mom, and maybe it is her wounded masculinity or whatever, masculine, where she would, abuse me, but she also bullied my dad, and I would, speak up and like say things. But at the end of the day, like, it was their relationship. I was just a kid living in the same household. But my mom would also make sure that when she would abuse me, that she would do it behind both my brother and my dad's back. And I think about how many women suffer without men, in this gendered world, like without men knowing, because it's meant to be kept a secret amongst women. And then women individually keep it a secret. Like, obviously, I don't know her entire life story, but it did make me think about how there's definitely things that happened between her mom and her sisters and her. Um, and also like constantly reminding myself like masculine and feminine is in all of us. I feel like I've been really healing that dynamic within myself so that I am, in touch with both sides of myself in that sense and like nurturing all of it. Um, but I don't even know like what honestly is masculine or feminine. Like I think I have a general idea, but I hate when people make it about like man versus woman. It's like no, like there's a lot of men who have, maybe you could say, wounded feminine, where like I think of like Nick Neptune, and like I feel like he's like a concept of like wounded feminine or something, like where he's just like constantly trying to, I don't know. I'm not going to dig too deep into that analysis right now because I don't want to, but I just think of how many men are, are just, they don't tap into their masculine energy. Um, but then it's like, what even is that? I don't, I don't even know. Um, like when I look up masculine, feminine energy, obviously I'm just looking this up on Google. So it's not like it's gonna, let's see. I hate that it gets used as like, oh, feminine is like a woman and masculine is a man. But then you have like psychology being super whitewashed. But if you use yin yang, it's a lot, I feel like a lot more helpful. Um, Based off of this, yin is feminine, patient, passive, internal energy, introspection, compassion, yielding, nurturing, bright brain and intuitive, creative, ambivalence, quality, synchronicity, soft, when in excess, needy, confusion, martyrdom, depression. Yang is masculine, active, external energy, assertion, valor, dominating, initiating, left brain and logical, conscientious, certainty, quantity, cause and effect, hard, in excess, forcing, rigid, domination, anxiety. Which I definitely think I encompass both, and I've also encompassed when it's been needy or when it's been excessive on both. Um, but yeah, it's a balance. It's definitely a balance, and like a lot of people don't think about it like this. They think about it as like man versus woman, and I'm just like, no, we all need to have both in ourselves.
I think that I think this gender aspect also has to do with this attribution, this reliance on. I guess the idea that like strength is to be worshipped and vulnerability is to be looked down upon.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if you don't think about it, we don't think about it in that way. We don't push for this whole winning losing aspects of things in society. I feel like we would treat a lot of the way we look at the world very differently. We wouldn't be having this bullshit that's happening right now in this country.
Yeah, that's for fucking sure. That's for fucking sure. Oh my gosh, I love this.
We just got the schedule for the plan for the rally. Do you have it? I can share that in a little bit.
You're welcome to send it to me.
We just got the schedule for the plan for the rally. Do you have it? I can share that in a little bit. You're welcome to send it to me. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. I just shared it. Oh, Kristen sent the email, so you probably have it too.
Oh, is it an email? No, I didn't see it in the email. I don't think there was an email sent to me about it, but okay, cool. I know that there's going to be people probably arriving around 5 since the flyer there's been 2 flyers that's been posted. But honestly, I think it'll be good because this way people can talk, people can like meet other people for like a good amount of time. You know what I mean? Like we just need more of that. I'm going to try and get there at 5. We have an appointment. Diego's still in there. And then I have an hour and a half after him. So we might get there. If it's 2:59, it's probably going to finish at 3, 1 hour, 4:30. Yeah, and then we probably might want to get food depending on before we head there. So I'll try to get there around 5. But yeah, okay. Do you know who's speaking?
I am not sure since I wasn't involved in that department.
Yeah, I just saw your message.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's fine that people arrive at 5 o'clock. We need the time to mingle before and after.
Yeah. Right. I don't know what the march route is, but half an hour, it's going to become like an hour, depending on the size and stuff. And if there's a lot of people coming out, like, there's probably going to be a good amount of just movement and, like, you know, all of these things always take longer because of just like people being confused, people following other people. But the good thing is, of course, like letting people know that no matter what, they can come back. to this spot.
Things always take longer because of just like people being confused.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I only learned about the plan until like half an hour ago. That you're marching first, and then you have speakers. So, in a sense, like if you're more interested in the joining listening to the speakers, and not so much on the walking with people part, you can still join in like after 6:15 ish.
Right. I think that like these are the moments where like whoever developed this program, like they should I think it'll be good to end. Right, right. And I think that that speaks to people wanting to talk, people wanting spaces to, to chat versus like personally, like I don't even want to march because I think one, I just don't want to constantly be walking. Like it's a very ableist um, thing. And I think it'll be good to just stay put for me personally and like meet people. Like I'm just trying to, take advantage and benefit from these spaces to meet people who share same values and like help, talk to people who may not fully have the same values because they don't, they're still colonized or still propagandized to think like this is a democracy and all this stuff. But if people go marching, coming back, I definitely know that there's like this energy that people will want. People will just want that energy to give this kind of conclusion or like just all this ramped up energy, like it needs to go somewhere. Okay. My phone is about to die and I don't want it to die, so I'm gonna get off and then I will see you later tonight.